Hi, my name is Panic and here are all the new VR games. We have some of the most anticipated games of the year coming December and a whole lot of VR ports of LED games in between. Let's go! Last month we only had two noteworthy releases. The first one was for Vertigo Games' Metro Awakening. Generally positive reception on this one, resulting in a strong 77 on OpenCritic. VR native publications pretty much mirrored this sentiment. Road to VR rated the game a good 7.5. Quote, Metro Awakening succeeds in capturing the gritty post-apocalyptic atmosphere of the Metro series in VR, with a focus on scavenging, sneaking and shooting. Metro Exodus... No, my dudes, we are talking about Awakening here, not Exodus. Anyway, Metro Awakening creates a strong foundation in its early stages with compelling combat and scavenging mechanics. Unfortunately, it falters in the second half with a lackluster story and a lack of gameplay variety. The atmosphere is tense and immersive, even if we are left wanting a bit on the environmental interactivity. End quote. I very much agree with this review. The strongest point is that it feels genuinely Metro, you know? Like you delve into one of the original Metro games. The weakest part is by far the very static and repetitive world design. Still a great game, which I do recommend picking up. If you want to know more, I leave a link to my review in the description below. This one we missed last month. Trombone Champ Unflattened is a VR port of Trombone Champ, a trombone type rhythm game from 2022, which was incredibly successful after becoming a popular meme. Special thing about this one is that it is the first release by Flat2VR Studios, a game studio comprised of modders from the Flat2VR community, so these are guys who know what they are doing and are being incredibly passionate about it. The result is a strong 78 on OpenCritic, which is incidentally exactly the same score as the flat version of the game has. Way too many games really liked it. Quote, it might not be as intuitive as a non-VR original, but Trombone Champ Unflattened is still a pretty fun musical game for the Quest. And all other VR platforms, way too many games? If anything, it just shows how well Flat2VR is able to port games to a brand new ecosystem, making them feel even more immersive than before. I didn't mind the fact it was a bit uglier and confusing to play. At the end of the day, I was pretending to play a trombone with a dumb smile on my face, missing most notes without a care in the world. I just can't wait to see what else these VR wizards are up to in the near future. End quote. I told you we'd have a lot of VR ports. On to the next one. The House of Da Vinci is a series of LED puzzle games, fairly well received ones, very similar to something like The Room, only that you get to tinker with Da Vinci's inventions. But while The Room's VR version was a completely new game, this one is more of a reimagining of the first part of the House of Da Vinci series. The story is the same, but the puzzles have all been reworked for VR. As Da Vinci's apprentice, you are summoned to Florence, only to realize that the master has disappeared without a trace. Equipped with a device that allows you to see events of the past, you make your way through 16th century Italy while tinkering with puzzle boxes that are based on some of Da Vinci's actual contraptions and try to solve the mystery of the master's disappearance. The House of Da Vinci VR will release on December 4th on Steam and for the Quest. A PSVR 2 version might come at a later date. On to the first big boy of the month. After so many delays, Skydances Behemoth is nearly upon us. A curse ravages the Forsaken Lands. You, as so many others, have fallen victim to its clutches. The only way to end this is to slay the unslayable, the monstrous Behemoth. To get to them, you'll have to traverse the lands first though, and you will fight a lot of smaller enemies on the way with visceral physics-based melee combat. To add to the fun, you have a grappling hook you can use for traversal and for combat. There will be secrets to find and puzzles to solve, there will be stuff to gather for the game's crafting system, and then there will be the Shadow of the Colossus style boss fights. The game is made by Skydance Interactive, the VR gaming department of the Skydance Media Group, previously responsible for the excellent The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. They really seem to like their branding, having put the company name in the game's title, and that's a bit strange. But anyway, Skydances Behemoth releases on December 5th for the PSVR 2 and the Quest. The Steam version was pushed back again, we don't have a date for that yet.
You have lost 11. You have failed your friends. I have taken your power, and I will use it to destroy all you hold dear.
The Stranger Things VR experience, as you might call it, released earlier this year for the Quest. Reviews were not very positive for this one, being mainly criticized for repetitive gameplay and lackluster combat. The premise is quite promising though, as you actually play as a bad guy. As Vecna, you invade dreams and memories of characters from the show to try to manipulate them into doing your bidding. I don't really vibe with the visual style of this thing, but at least in the trailer this version looks a lot better than the Quest version did. But if you're not playing on the Quest and want to give it a shot anyway, Stranger Things VR will come to Steam and the PSVR 2 on December 5th.
Ready? Take 12. Action!
You remember Superhot, the game whose VR version was far more successful than its predecessor? Well, the VR veterans of fast travel games have borrowed the Superhot concept, you know, that time only runs when you move, and expanded it to different genres. To 5 different genres to be precise. In Action Hero, you play as the protagonist of 5 different action movies, each one in its very own genre. Well, most of it seems to be shooting, but you also get to punch dinosaurs, what's not to love. You got the Superhot thing, so you can always stop time by not moving, and generally feel like the badass you always deserve to be. Action Hero is scheduled for December 12th release, Quest only. You know the bridge constructor games that show your inaptitude as an engineer by letting you plunge innocent drivers to their gruesome deaths together with the remnants of your sorry excuse for a bridge? Yeah, that one. That one gets a VR version. The game has a 70 challenges strong campaign, a free build mode and a scenario editor for you to create your own challenges. On the Quest 3 the game also has a mixed reality mode and you can play with motion controllers or use hand tracking. I have only played the Portal crossover of the series, but that was sufficiently hilarious and quite tricky. I can see this being fun in VR. Bridge Constructor Studio is also a Quest exclusive and will also come on December 12th.
Clone drone in the Hyperdome!
Clone Drone in the Hyperdome has to be one of the best titles of a video game or any form of media really that I have ever heard. Clone Drone in the Hyperdome. Hell yeah. Clone Drone in the Danger Zone, also a decent title, is an incredibly popular flat voxel-based slice and up that released back in 2021. The Hyperdome brings the original game's craziness to VR. You will still be able to sever any part of your opponent's robots, but now with much more precision, motion controls and all. This seems to be an iteration of the original game's endless mode, complete with the roguelike progression. Slice your way through voxel robots with a plethora of different melee weapons, battle your fellow loop runners. If you succeed, you'll get a chance to fight the captain in the Hyperdome. Clone Drone in the Hyperdome comes to Steam and the Quest on December 12th.
Clone drone in the Hyperdome! Yes, you heard that right!
Welcome to Berdan.
Carver should be just ahead. I just hope he's still the man we came to rescue.
Do you have reason to believe he isn't?
Off to the second big buy of the month, incidentally also made by a studio that previously made a VR The Walking Dead game. What are the chances? Alien Rogue Incursion. You play as Zula Hendricks, an ex-colonial marine, hell-bent on exposing Weyland-Yutani's black site experiments. Guided by her synth companion Davis-01, Zula infiltrates a secret research station on the uncharted planet Purdon. There, she discovers a threat that is much worse than anticipated, laying the future of humanity as a whole in her hands. The name Alien Isolation will always be thrown into the room here, as the one Alien game that was, you know, semi-VR compatible and so incredible that everyone is yearning for something similar with real VR mechanics. I don't think this is the one. While stealth is an option here, Zula also has access to some serious firepower, making this a far more action-oriented approach. And to be frank, Alien Isolation is also a very dangerous comparison to make. I would be very impressed if this game comes even close to the complexity variety of the twists and turns of Isolation's story. So this probably won't be a new Alien Isolation, but this will be a stealth action single-player story-focused horror game in the Alien universe. That sounds good enough to me. The game is made by Servius, who previously absolutely squandered the Walking Dead license with a terrible The Walking Dead onslaught. Let's see if they can do better this time around. Alien Rogue Incursion is scheduled for December 19th release on Steam and the PSVR 2. The Quest 3 version, Quest 3 only, no Quest 2 for this one, the Quest 3 version was pushed back to next year.
Watch out!
That is it for this year. I will definitely get Behemoth for the PSVR 2, because who knows when the Steam version will come. Probably also Alien if the reviews turn out to be positive. What's on your list for this month? Whatever it may be, have a great rest of December and see you in 2026. Bye.